Hi, my name is Michael. I'm a senior at Harvard from Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome to a day of my life. So for my typical day, I usually wake up around like 8 o'clock because I probably put all my classes like at 9 a.m. just so I can like get them out of the way for my day. So, I wake up and I have a really nice view from my room. So I usually take time to just kind of like stare out and review that and just like have fun, like observing the Charles River and things like that. A song that gets me pumped up in the morning. I'm a big Roy Woods fan, so that's kind of what I've been listening to lately. So it's either been two songs that I start my day with. It's either B-Town by Roy Woods or it's Low-Key Shots by 𝐋𝐄𝐓'𝐒, which is hilarious, but hey. I usually brush my teeth, wash my face, pick out the fit for the day. How I'm picking out my fits, I usually start from the bottom and I go up. So it's just like what sneakers I want to wear today. So for example, today, we had the Polo climb joints. Get them again. Breakfast in the morning, one thing about Harvard is with all the amazing things it has, the food is not probably the best thing. So I usually have like the same breakfast every morning, which is I make like my own scrambled eggs, and then I'll just be on my way. So I'll be walking to class. Usually have to walk through the yard, past like Widener Library, which is like this really beautiful and famous historic library, which is always cool. And then I'll be going to a variety of different classes, depending on whatever day it is. How do I get around campus? So I walk. I don't know if you can tell, my legs, they mad long, so I don't really have to do much else. I'm 6'6". I'm 6'6", but anyways, that's beside the point. But the campus is like not too big. It's pretty accessible. The only time that you might be in trouble is if you live in the quad, which is like a 20-minute walk just off main campus. And that's like kind of a really, really big running joke at Harvard. Like if you get quadded, it's slow for you. I got quadded. I transferred out. I made it to Leverett, so I'm chilling now. But other than that, like campus is pretty accessible by foot, like everywhere you go. Do I live on or off campus? So the thing about Harvard is most students live on campus. So freshman through senior year, like the culture is just kind of you stay in the dorms. And the way it works is that there's 9 houses and 9 river houses and then 3 houses like in the quad. So every house has its own facilities, libraries, gyms, and like, people that you become close to. So very, very, very few people go off campus, only like a certain subset. How big are my classes? So it really depends on the class. When you start out freshman year, my first class was literally 800 people deep, and it was in this big auditorium called Sanders Theater, which is kind of like this famous theater. But most classes aren't like that. So by the time you get to like sophomore, junior, senior year, which is where I'm at, there's a lot of different seminars and classes that will go down to like the size of maybe like 10, 15, 20 students. The thing about Harvard is difficulty spans across a massive spectrum. So there are some classes at Harvard that we like to call gems. Those are like the really interesting classes where you legitimately have to do zero work. Conversely, if you're a chemical engineer or a social studies student, like I used to be, you might have like very difficult classes that you're reading like 200-300 pages per week, which is what I was doing often, or like doing problem sets. But I think what's unique about Harvard is that they really, really value interesting courses and intellectual exploration over difficulty per se. They really have a whole caveat of different classes for you to pick from, and I think that's why a lot of people are satisfied with their academic experience here. How much homework do I do a day? That's an interesting question, because nowadays it's like 1 hour, for real, if that. But when I was younger, like it probably would vary. Like when I was a freshman, sophomore growing up and I actually had classes to do, it can range probably, the average is probably like 3 hours a day of work that I do. But in those midterm periods, which is like what Harvard has, is like when you get into that nitty gritty, it might jump to like 4 or 5, 6 hours a day. But that's also like balanced with extracurriculars. On average, it's like 3 to 5 for most days for the young people though, not me. But if I'm really, really trying to grind, the real grinders go to Widener Library, which is like the famous library with the elevated stacks of books that go like 8 stories down underground. A lot of my friends go there, but it's still silent. So usually we'll go there if we want to work together, but still really be focused and serious and get work done. My favorite class and why, that's really, really difficult. because like there's a lot of my classes that I really enjoy. This latter year I got into freshman year is called Dilemmas of Equity and Excellence in K-12 American Education. So it's about studying the history of America's public school system and then going into all the present day solutions of how we're trying to solve these things, whether that be through charter schools, unions, things of that nature. Having the opportunity to like just take an outlandish class like that as an elective, I think was just like an incredible experience. Who is my favorite professor and why? I would have to say Professor Cornel West. Now, if you don't know who Cornel West is, he's like one of the biggest black intellectuals and just intellectuals in general of our time. Absolutely love hearing him speak. Like when he speaks, it's always entertainment. Like he's just really like, you know, animated, and he makes every single class interesting. And so any talk panel that he's on, I want to go to. And I think that's like another favorite thing about this school is that if you run into a professor, the odds are like on the national scale outside of this school, they're probably pretty popping. They're probably pretty famous. And it's like really dope to be able to interact with them on a person-to-person level. I would say my favorite dining hall to eat at is Elliott House, just because that's where like the majority of my friends, I don't know why, we just decided to link up and meet there. We'll all probably have like a 20-person lunch or dinner there all the time. Favorite thing to get there, like I said before, if there's anything Harvard spends its money on, it's not food. Food is terrible, horrendous. But they have a grill, and you can order like pretty much any type of like regular food you want on the grill. So I usually order like 2 cheeseburgers and fries, and I probably eat that every single day. Can't lie, because it's all I got. My nighttime schedule, it really depends on like what I'm actually involved in that day. I'm involved in a lot of different organizations. So if it's a Black Men's Forum Day, I might be going to the BMF Wing Night, where we literally give free wings for everybody. And it's not just the Black Men's Forum, it's really just a Black community event that we host. And everybody's eating, and it's like really, really fun. And like we're playing pool, and we're doing all these different things. And so that could be one thing that I do. If it's an Expressions Day, I might be, you know, going to Expressions practice, which is like this hip hop dance group that I'm a part of because I like to dance. So like that's obviously really fun, and just like having time and energy vibing with different people. Freshman year, sophomore year, I was leaving campus probably every single weekend, and if we're leaving, we're probably going to a different college to find like parties there. And so I think one of the cool things about going to Harvard is in Boston, there's like 150 other colleges. So you're going to Harvard, but you can also access parties at BU, access parties at MIT, access parties at Tufts, Wellesley, whatever it might be. How would I rate the party scene at Harvard? So I think it's relative, right? Because if you're comparing it to like a state school, it's like a 2. But if you're comparing it to all the different Ivy Leagues, it's like a 9. In like my own relative, I would say it's like a 5 on a bad day, like a 7 on a good day. I think the only other Ivy that might match is Penn. We still better though. So yeah, Harvard is definitely pretty lit when it comes to like having a strong academic place, but then also wanting a place where you can have fun too, which I think is amazing. And by that time, I'm probably tired, and so I'm usually back to my room by like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I'll just like chill, relax. Again, Charles Riverview window, nobody else got it, Mike Phillips. And I'll just, you know, wind down until I'm ready to go to sleep. And I wake up the next day and run it back. So I am very happy that I chose Harvard as my school. I always had no doubt in my mind that it was one of the best decisions I've made. And I think that if you're looking to choose Harvard, the reason that I would say yes is because the people that you meet here and the experiences that you have here will not be matched by anyone. The first time I stepped on Harvard's campus, I had an off conversation with this old woman who approached me and my mother when we were just visiting. And it turned out that she ended up being on the board of the Olympics. And her husband was a renowned astrophysicist. That same night, I went to a talk from Henry Louis Gates, who was one of the biggest African-American historians of our time, who has literally changed the game when it comes to African-American history. And in that same vein, I was able to go to probably one of the best parties I had on all of my college tours. So if you're looking for a place where everybody that you meet has ambitions beyond your wildest dreams, where you can discuss complex sociopolitical theory and then go turn up the future on the weekends, there's only one place you can choose, and that's Harvard.